This video is brought to you by Nate Productions. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. During this video, I'll be showing you an improvement of your basic cameras. So if you're using basic cameras of Unity that look kind of like this, so you can see the camera basically rotating around the player very precisely and moving along with where the player is moving, statically without any kind of smoothness or just statically and precisely moving along with the player. It looks dull and boring. So I'll be showing you a much better way of doing cameras in Unity, and I'll make this quick so I don't want to waste your time. Okay, so let's get straight to it. The first thing you want to do is go to Package Manager and download the Cinemachine package. So once you install that, you need to go onto your player and create a Cinemachine. So I'll enable my second player, which I already have mine on. So right click on it, Cinemachine, and use the virtual camera. Each of these have different usages, and the virtual camera is the basic essentially camera for these. Other ones are a bit more specific scenarios, while the virtual camera is more generalized camera. So click on that, and these will be added onto your player. So a camera that is using the Cinemachine brain, which essentially allows the components of the Cinemachine package to override the camera, and then we have this object that is controlling that camera. And the main things that you need to do to actually modify this, it's attaching the transform of the player onto the follow and look at, and this will allow the camera to be following and looking at the transform of the player or whatever object you want in the world. So simply drag and drop onto here, and the main stuff that I want to be showing you is the body and the aim. Each of one of those have different scenarios. You can see there is a third person follow, or different other stuff which can be useful, and I would suggest you reading onto the documentation for each one to help you out. But the main things that I want to show you, even by not adjusting the settings whatsoever and just running the game, so you'll see the huge difference that it has. So instead of snapping onto the player, you can see a smooth kind of transition from where the player is moving, and you can see instead of moving precisely and along with the movements of the player, there is some smoothness, and you can see wherever I'm stopping, you can see the camera still moving, and it adds some more smoothness and it looks more polished in my opinion. And if I were to rotate my camera around, you can see that the camera is not moving in a static way. It looks more dynamic and more interesting, and you can play around with the values for this. And this is on the body, so the body is responsible for the position, so whenever the player is moving around, this is responsible for it. You can see the damping and the offset, so I've set my offset to be kind of like this. So if I were to drop the offset, you'll see how this affects it. And the damping is essentially how smooth should it be. So if I were to set it very high damping, wherever the player is moving, the camera won't really care much, and it will just leave it go as you can see, it just leaves way too far. So I usually have damping much lower. So if I were to set it to 0, you'll have the same effect that we had before with the traditional camera. So setting the values according to what you want for your camera. So let's say 5 might be a good um, solution. So obviously you can modify it to each axis. So if you want one axis to be different, you can set it and adjust it as you like. And you can see that it looks much more interesting even without having a look at the settings and other stuff which can take the camera to the next level. But I don't want to really cover that. If you want me to cover that, I will make a separate video for it, specifically for this package. So you can see even by playing around with the dampings, it can really help you out and make the camera look much more interesting to your game. And then lastly, we have the aim is the last thing that I'm going to be having a look at. And again, we have the horizontal damping and the vertical. The vertical is for the y-axis. I don't have a jump function for this, but I'll show you what the horizontal, and you'll get the idea hopefully. So if I were to kind of move my camera and rotate by my mouse, you can see how this affects the aim. So you can see that it takes longer for the camera to rotate towards the player. So currently it's kind of looking towards straight onto the player. If I were to move right, it will take much more for the camera to actually rotate right. So you can see how you can play around with this and make the camera much smoother and much more interesting. So I usually don't have that high of a damping. I have something that looks like this, and I feel like it makes the camera more interesting. Okay, maybe it's still too much, but you hopefully get the idea of what I'm trying to get. And there are a lot of settings, a lot of customizations that you can do to make the camera look interesting and fit it to your own needs. So even by having this um, a package included instead of using cameras, there is so much usage that you can do, so many possibilities for your camera that just by adding it and leaving it as default will definitely help you eventually. So this package also have the extensions, which includes, for example, something that I've already covered in a previous video, where you can have something like this to prevent objects from obscuring the vision of the player. So you can see wherever the camera is being obscured, the camera will automatically move to get in the vision of the player, so to be able to watch the player and not obscure it. So this is one of many extensions and many possibilities that you can do with the Cine Machine. So highly suggesting you use this package, and just to show you how you can actually add the Cine Machine collider. Just click add extension, select, and select the collider. You can see there are many more that you can use. So this is a very brief video for this package. If you want me to cover this in detail, I can do a long video for it, but it will be definitely a different one, because it will take about like 20 minutes to go every single one of these. So hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe onto the channel and onto this video. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good rest of your day, and goodbye. This video is brought to you by Nate Productions.